Asatoma Satgamaya Tamsoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. So you may bow your head to your heart. And release your hands. Please open your eyes. I'm just considering this, how we have a head brain, a heart brain, and a gut brain. And this vijnanamaya kosha, this deepest knowing that is impersonal and collective. Maybe we have a sense of that knowing in the heart brain, not in the intellectual brain. This would rest at the fourth chakra. And this willingness to know, like the willingness to be updated, the willingness to be porous to what wants to be known, that willingness would rest at the third chakra, this willingness to be transformed by life. And perhaps we could say, and I'm just hypothesizing out loud, that which wants to be known is trying to bubble up from these deeper places, the unmet needs at the second chakra, the yet undiscovered knowings. And then at the first chakra, what is really based for all of us, this mutuality in the ecology in our society, what is needed there. So I'm just hypothesizing out loud with you. You can reflect on it and let me know what your discoveries are. So let's practice a bit of pranayama to have access to that sense of the willingness to be known, which again, I was just saying is at the third chakra, hypothesizing that it's related to what I was saying earlier. We're going to do bhastrika again from yesterday. It's not that many exhales, about 30, and then a complete exhale. And when you inhale to suspend, I'm answering a question that I got by email. In that suspension, you are lifting the low belly in and up. And you are kind of ballooning like a hot air balloon, the chest, and the chin does come down and in. So all three bandhas are there during that suspension. Okay, so please sit upright. Take a little sip of an inhale, and we'll begin. Inhale to suspension. In your own timing, if you haven't yet, go ahead and consider when to exhale, and please exhale completely, thoroughly. And again. Inhale through the nose, up to suspension. Exhale completely. And then deeply relax. And rest your attention on the willingness to know, also the willingness to be known. And now this kappalabhati kriya that we do, where we take the arms up with the inhale and pull down on the exhale. So this is in-breath brisk, and out-breath is also brisk. Inhale, exhale. Inhale to suspension. Exhale when you're ready to. Exhale completely and thoroughly. And again. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale to suspension. Exhale completely and thoroughly. And relax the wandering mind and rest in the willingness. Please rest your hands on your shoulders. We're going side to side with kappalabhati. Five, four, three, two, one. Come to center. Inhale and suspend. Exhale completely. You might remind yourself that the third chakra is the place where we make this transition from the lower three chakras. We have to cross that threshold to go to the upper chakras. So please bring your right hand up in the Morgi Mudra like this. I know this was a hard practice for some of you yesterday. Let's try it again. So it's left and right, and it's 10, 10, 9, 9, 8, 8. You're going down like that until you have just a few rounds of 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. This is Kappalabhati. Exhale. Inhale up to suspension. Close the right nostril, exhale left side. Inhale both up to suspension. Close the left, exhale right. Release your hand to your lap. And please rise up to standing. And come into Padottanasana, the wide leg forward bend. Now in Padottanasana, as you find yourself there, start listening in to the pace of the breath that is yours. And listen for how you can balance the inhale with the exhale. Just see if that's possible. You don't have to have the longest breath cycle right now, but a smooth, considerate breath, balancing your inhale with your exhale as you're able to. You might notice that the turnaround of the breath, that is the top of the inhale, the bottom of the exhale, may it feel more relaxed than just in your pranayama without the kriyas that we did. Just notice if it has any greater quality of ease, these turnaround places. Then shift your hands to your hips, please. Rise up to standing. Turn your heels in and your toes out and come down to the jazz stance pose. Let's make this pose stable from your heels to your toes. Shins likely, hopefully, optimally vertical to your ankles. Reach the inner thighs out towards your knees. And again, stay with the Ujjayi breath and see if you can balance your inhale with your exhale. Now, as you keep the breath smooth, and know that the breath, the pranamaya kosha, is more powerful than the body, the annamaya kosha. And the mind is more powerful than the breath. So manamaya is deeper, pranamaya, than annamaya. Means that the deeper layers are the more powerful. So when you next inhale, raise your left heel up from the floor and use the entire length of the inhale for the action. And then exhale and return your heel to the ground. Inhale, right side. Exhale to lower down. Now, if you are keeping the arms stable, you're going to be influencing your body primarily at the hips. Go to the left again, please. The hips, the pelvic floor, the upper inner thigh. You will feel a response in the shoulders, maybe in the side waist too. Exhale, lower your heel down. See if you can give your primary physical attention at the pelvic floor. What happens when you raise your right heel? Notice what happens to the upper inner right thigh and the pelvic floor as you lower your right heel. One more time to your left. And one more time to your right. Okay, press down into both outer heels. Wrap the outer hips around the thigh bones, and as you root down, rise up to standing with the tailbone going down. So the front of the groins may open a little bit right there. And then we're going to go toes in and heel toe, and I'll change the angle of my camera for you. Okay, so come to mountain pose, please. I realize I'm not going to be completely in the frame. That's just how it is. The distance, again, as I said the other day, I can't back up further and I can't move that further back either. So mountain pose. Okay, raise up on your tiptoes. Inhale. And then exhale, bend your knees, and with the heels lifted, come into a sort of chair pose. Keeping the heels lifted, inhale, raise up. If you can keep your balance, go ahead and look up. And then exhale, lower your heels really slowly as you're coming down to Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward through your heart, the base of your skull, and then your chin. And exhale to deeply bow towards your legs. Sweep the low belly in and up towards your sacrum and towards the lumbar spine. Now inhale, rise up and begin the tippy toe process when you're about halfway up. Exhale, keep the heels lifted as you come down to a sort of chair pose. Inhale, rise up. Notice the strength your feet need to provide, also the legs. And then exhale, go slowly down to Uttanasana, your heels finding the floor, not in any sense of hurry or urgency. Again, inhale, glide your heart forward. And exhale to deeply bow towards your legs. Sweep the low belly inward, upward. And last time, inhale, rise up. Start tippy toeing when you're about halfway up. And then exhale, lower your heels down to mountain pose. Bring your hands down to your heart. Please take a wide stance again, like Prasarita Padottanasana. And in this Prasarita, come on down with your hips drawing back. Walk your hands out in front of you. You're keeping the right foot planted. Raise your left heel up. Pivot the left heel in. Raise your left heel and swivel it out. Raise your left heel and swivel it in. raise your heel and pivot. It's like in slow motion you're putting out a cigarette. You remember that action? I never smoked cigarettes, but I did see the action. But as you pivot around and your heel comes in, notice the influence that's having on the whole body. Then inhale, raise your heel, pivot it out again, and check and see how are things moving. Where is there some suppleness? Where do you feel like there's some stiffness? Let's do it one more time. Raise your heel, slide it out. And pause right here. Notice the shape of the pelvic floor. We've made the feet and the legs asymmetrical. What is the shape of the pelvic floor right now? And then raise your heel and glide it all the way in. Left heel. And notice again, what is the shape of the pelvic floor here? And then simply come to parallel once more, so make the feet symmetrical. And now second side with the right foot. So keep the hands out in front and let's pick up the right heel and swivel it in. Notice the whole body's going to be moved by that action. And then raise your heel and swivel out. So the entire body is, of course, interconnected, including the sort of myofascial system, which we often don't give attention to until we have problems with, much like the rest of the body. But see if you can sense, you're moving your foot, your heel, your ankle, but every part of you is also responding. Come inside again. And this time as you pivot your heel out, go ahead and stay there and really check in and see what's happening for you with the pelvic floor. And then turn your heel all the way in. And what's happening there? Let's return to parallel so your feet are symmetrical. Walk your hands back towards your hips. And please rise up to standing. And let's go heel toe in. And come to mountain pose. And see if you have an increased sense of connection to the pelvic floor. And what might that do in terms of your relationship to willingness, the willingness to know, the deeper things that want to be known. Okay, let's please turn to the front of your mat for Surya namaskar. Let me just change that camera angle slightly. Okay, place your feet in mountain pose, facing to the east if you have that option. And join your hands together at your heart. Okay, with the Ujjayi breath now, inhale your hands down, palms forward, raise up. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward through your heart. Okay, let's exhale, take the left toes and heel back into virabhadrasana 1. So I'm going to ask you to look back at your left foot and pivot the heel to the floor. Either line yourself up heel to heel or place your heels so they are hip distance apart on these lines on your mat. As you gaze back at the left heel, check that your foot does feel firmly grounded, and then root down from your tailbone and let the sacrum follow you. Root down from the tailbone and both sitting bones. Do your best to aim your hips forward, but don't be perfectionistic or dogmatic about it. Inhale, raise your arms up overhead. Now with the back leg steady enough, inhale, lift your right heel. And exhale, root your right heel down. Again, inhale, raise your right heel. And exhale to root. Once more, inhale, raise. When you exhale to root your heel, also tone your right outer hip, right hamstring, right sitting bone. And then inhale, reach forward with both arms. Bring your torso forward. And exhale, place your hands and step backwards to downward dog pose. Now keeping your left leg steady, inhale, raise your right leg and stack your hips over your left thigh. So even though earlier we actually did pivot the leg and the foot, right now I'd like you to have a kind of non-pivot, that the left foot holds steady, your left leg holds steady. Stack your hips over your left thigh so the inseam of the left leg is getting longer. And then exhale, come forward and place your right shin on the ground. Pivot your left heel. This is from Tuesday, I think, maybe Monday, and open. So if you lined yourself up here, it's right hand, right knee, right shin, right toes, left heel. Resist the inclination for the right butt to hang out behind you. Tone your right outer hip, please. Now, keeping the right arm stable, bring your left hand down to hold your right wrist. Press into your right arm like you're about to do cat pose. Root your tailbone down towards your left heel. And then see if you can raise your left arm and your left leg. And we're going to return to the floor and come into plank pose. And then downward facing dog pose. Okay, with an exhale, step your left foot forward. Pivot your right heel. If you look back at your right foot, pivot the heel down so your foot is on an angle. Check that that is firmly established. Place your hands on your hips and rise up to virabhadrasana 1 with the legs. Root the tailbone down and slightly forward. Inhale, raise your arms up. And as you're raising up now, keep your right heel firmly planted. Inhale, lift your left heel. And exhale to root. Check the connection from your left heel to your left hip. left sitting bone. We'll do that twice more. Notice where you find your stability, which is not first in the physical body, nor is it even first in the breath body. That stability is going to come first in the mental body. And not because your mind is rigid. With your next inhale, reach your arms forward, bring your torso forward. And then touch down. Let's step backwards to dog pose, please. And keeping your right leg stable. So without pivoting now, the right foot stays straight on. Aim your right knee with your toes. Raise your left leg. And stack over your right thigh. And then you can level the hips and bring your left shin forward. Pivot your right heel down and open to the side bend. Press firmly down into your left arm, so this is a side bend. Press firmly into your left shin and stabilize your left outer hip. Root into your right heel, the big toe. Bring the right hand down really slowly so you can sense again the entire myofascial system is connected. Glide your right hand down to hold your left wrist. But let's keep the primary part of the pose as it was. So right hip is still open. Twist your rib cage to the right, even though your right arm has come down. And then see if you can raise your right arm and your right leg simultaneously. You're going to want to be over your left thigh vertically. And then lower your right toes and right hand and come into plank pose. And downward facing dog pose. Okay, with an exhale, step your awkward foot forward first, and then your second foot. And come into Uttanasana. Root your feet and your heels. Inhale, rise up, Ujjayi breath. And exhale, hands to your heart. Okay, round number 2. Inhale, Ujjayi, raising up. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward. Exhale, left toes back. Inhale, virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, descend. Touch the floor. Inhale, plank. Exhale, right knee down. Inhale, sweep your left arm past your ear. Okay, for those who have the stability from the left foot and the right hand, exhale, cross your right ankle over your left. And then keeping the left inner thigh lifted, place the right shin back on the floor, right where you picked it up from. Okay, come down to plank pose, please. Inhale, downward facing dog. Exhale, left foot forward. Pivot the right heel. Inhale, virabhadrasana 1. Exhale, descend and step into plank pose. Exhale, left knee to the floor. Inhale to your side bend. Pivot the right heel, reach your right arm past your right ear. And if you have the stability, cross your left ankle over your right. And then place the left shin where you picked it up from. And return your right hand to the floor. Step into plank pose. And then downward facing dog pose. Okay, not the awkward foot first, but the regular foot first. Second foot, Uttanasana. And then inhale, rise up, upward hands pose. And exhale, hands to your heart. Okay, one more time. We're going to add to the sequence. So inhale, upward hands. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, glide forward. Left foot back. Warrior 1. Release to touch the floor. Inhale, plank. Exhale, right knee, right shin down. Inhale, side bend. Pivot the left heel. Exhale, cross. Inhale, reach with your left arm. Exhale, plank pose. Inhale, downward facing dog. Now exhale, bring your right foot forward. Pivot the left heel. And bring both hands to the inside of your right ankle. Okay, with the hands on the floor here inside your ankle, as you inhale, raise your right heel up. So you're going to be adjusting what happens with your knee, your thigh, your hip, and the upper inner groin, and therefore also the pelvic floor. And exhale, root your right heel down. Let's do that again. Inhale, raise your right heel up. And exhale, root your right heel down. One more time. Now, keeping your right heel stable, walk your hands like you're doing Prasarita and see if in fact you could keep the right knee where it was. If it followed you, if you brought your torso in and your right knee's trying to follow you, place your right hand up against your inner thigh and give a little reminder. And then see if at the right outer hip, and that's going way back to like our first couple weeks in the immersion, can the right outer hip sustain the angle of your right knee? And then walk your hands around. Place your hands and step into plank pose. And then inhale, reach back to downward facing dog pose. Okay, exhale, left foot forward. This is for warrior one. So when you pivot the right heel, you might just gently shorten your stride from the basic lunge to the warrior pose position. And inhale, rise up. Exhale, descend. Take your time. You're going to step into plank pose. Inhale. Okay, exhale, left shin down. Inhale, turn to your side bend pose. And exhale, cross your left ankle over your right, if that's appropriate for your strength and your practice today. And then rotate down to plank pose. Inhale, reach back, downward facing dog pose. Exhale, left foot forward. Pivot your right heel and bring both hands to the inside of your left ankle. And inhale, raise your left heel up. Exhale, lower it down. About 3 times. And as you keep the left outer hip strong and your left knee lined up with your left toes, walk your torso to the right. And if your left knee needs a little reminder, you can take the left hand up against your knee to give it a little bit of a nudge. It's just a reminder. See if you can tone your left outer hip to sustain the action. And then rotate back around to center and step into plank pose. Lower your knees to the floor and sit back to virabhadrasana, also called thunderbolt pose. Rest your hands in your lap. Listen for the quality of willingness, even the willingness to not know quite where you're going in a yoga pose or in your body, but to greet that unknown, and to find some new musculoskeletal patterns, to make room for new understandings, new insights. Please come down onto your back for bridge pose. This is going to precede your shavasana, so you can keep that in mind. Lie on your back with your knees bent. You can have the feet hip distance apart. Tuck your shoulders under the upper back. And then as you root down into your heels, start raising up from your tailbone first. And as you lengthen the tailbone forward, just come up with the lower portion of the body for bridge pose, so your thighs and your hips, not yet the upper chest and heart. And see if you can raise the heels of both feet. tone the outer hips, and right near the sitting bones, add some tone there. And maintain that as you lower your heels back down. And then take each shoulder to tuck under. If your hands easily clasp behind your lower back, then go ahead and do so. When you arrive in your bridge pose, keep the shoulders firmly grounded and the toes too, and let's raise the heels again. Now as you lengthen the tailbone, raising the heels does not also mean hyperextend your lower back. Raise the heels, recommit to the tailbone, the back of the pelvis, your outer hips and your inner thighs, and then lower your heels down without losing your commitment. Raise your heart towards your gaze. Bring your gaze towards your heart. And slowly lower your hips down onto your hands or your wrists. You can unclasp the hands if you had them clasped. Let's do the palms flat down. Stretch one leg out straight, second leg out straight. So you are sitting on the back of your hands and the back of your wrists. Arch the spine up away from the floor. Now if you root from the heels, the back of the heels, the back of your calves, the back of the hamstrings, the flat of your palms and fingers, the back of your pelvis. And then when you raise up through the spine, you go to fish pose. And the lower hemisphere of the body is really grounded. And then let's slide the back of the head down. Release your shoulders, release your hands, and please come to Shavasana. Just let yourself get really still in your Shavasana. Mentally still is very important. Let your mind consider again. There is this impersonal, collective, and timeless wisdom. It's not helpful to be preoccupied with our own sense of intellect. The willingness to surrender what we think of as our keenness or our intellect. Can we know that larger wisdom? And also maybe be willing to know that which we have sort of hidden from ourselves in the shadow of our thoughts. Can we be willing to know that too? Invite yourself to keep resting in that sense of willingness for your mind to be deeply quiet, the habit mind, the wandering mind. May the propensity for fear in you be resolved. That's at the base chakra, first chakra. Lam, 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 lam. May your senses not be so inclined to their immaturities. May your vitality not be dissipated or frozen at the second chakra. Wam, 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 wam. At the third chakra, may your willingness not be obscured by greed or resentment. Ram, 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 ram. At the fourth chakra, may you not succumb to envy or jealousy or attachment or ill will. Yum, 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 yum. At the fifth chakra, may your words come with wisdom and skill. Hum, 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 hum. Please make your way from Shavasana back to sitting. Please bring your hands up to your heart, but bring your mind down to the base chakra. The word is lam. Lam, 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 lam. Second. Wam, 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 wam. Third. Ram, 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 ram. Fourth. Yum, 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 yum. Fifth. Hum, 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 hum. Down to the third for the sound of Om. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste.